Just tell me a little bit about your memories of Derrick Ooh Jones.
Well, I know Ooh as a musician, as an advocate, as a friend, and he was always really about his city and about Baltimore and about making it better by any means necessary. So I was influenced and kind of inspired by his work. So that's how we became partners in Save a Dope Boy. And it was more than just the music. It was about music and messages and also just touching people so that they could also want to change Baltimore. And I think he had like an infectious personality.
He left such a power on all of those people that he touched. You can see it, you can feel it, and even today, you can see how his presence really affected everybody else. And it was so positive, it was so magnificent. That brother raised the level of how we live and how we communicate with each other even today.
What do you think is Ooh's biggest legacy, whether as a musician or as a person?
Oh my God. Like, Ooh was Baltimore. He loved this city. And he could have went anywhere, but he refused to leave. He refused to leave out of Baltimore City. I remember just saying like, Ooh, you need to go to New York. You need to go to Atlanta. You know, you need to go somewhere because you are just that good. Like, his music is so good. He's like, I'm not leaving Baltimore City. Like, I am Baltimore City. I'm going to save my city. And you have to be able to love this city and able to change this city. If you don't love this city, you're not going to be able to change this city. You're not going to be able to really he was able to talk with politicians. He went to the White House, to the drug dealers, to the dope boys. He was able to put in his gold teeth when he needed to, take them out, put on his suit, his bow tie. He was he was able to move in any circle, in any circumstance that we called him to do. And that's what I loved about my brother.
Let's speak a little bit about that, being able to walk the streets element. How important is it for the type of work that you guys do through this organization to meet people where they're at?
I think that's all it is. That's the bottom line. That's the most fundamental, important part of actually changing people, is to meet them where they're at and to accept them for who they are. Not really being a judgmental person and knowing that, I might not have lived that exact life, but my neighbor may have, or the guy across the street, or my brother, or my cousin. So not really being on a pedestal and talking to people as if you know them because you do know them, because you're their neighbors. But our lives had different paths, so our outcomes were different, but we all came from the same city. So it's not fair for us to really judge people based on whatever circumstances they may have, because I might have made one decision, I might be in the same circumstance. We just had different paths, so we're able to kind of reflect and talk to people because we're all from the same foundation.
I wondered if you might speak about the role education played in Ooh's life and in formulating both his social activism and his art as well.
Right. So for Ooh, he got into himself in some part of his childhood. He got himself into, just being in that life, But what was different with him is that he still pursued his academic pursuit. So he still was getting good grades. He just was doing that as well. And so when you're a child that does that from that perspective, you have a different perspective on that whole lifestyle, you know what I mean? And so what he realized was, when he stopped, it was like my education was what allowed me to be able to do that. And so these other people that I know, they can't stop. They don't have that other piece. So the academics became the important thing. Like, we need to give you this fruit, you know what I mean? And that's what it was.
He was the first brother that I met that got his master, the first rapper I knew that got his masters. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, yo, damn, it's cool to be smart. You know what I mean? He showed me that it's cool to be smart. You know what I mean? And to be engaged in what's going on in your city politically.
Speak a little bit on your memories of Derrick Ooh Jones.
Last or first, middle or the best? Which you want?
Let's go with the best.
The best memory I can remember is when I was downtown and Ooh was, believe if I'm not mistaken, in the 6th floor on Charles and Fayette Street. He was working there. Ooh was working for the Yak program. And I am who I am as PFK Boom. And this was probably about 30 days before Ooh was blessed after his mission was accomplished with all of us leaders down here. He looked out the window And as everyone who do know Ooh that was a 5%er. And he had Clarence 13X on the wall. And he looked at me and I looked at him. And we looked outside of the window of Baltimore, and anybody who know Ooh that got the chance to look outside that window of his office, he was like, we gotta take care of He said we gotta take care of Baltimore, yo. He said we gotta take care of Baltimore, yo. That's my best memory. Ooh wanted us to take care of the babies, man. It's not about us. He said it was not about us no more. We already knew. These ain't my tears, man. These them Gilmore Home tears. So I don't never think y'all never feel sorry for me. These ain't mine, man. These are the tears are like a Harriet Tubman situation, because I know I'm going to get there. But I'm just thinking about the ones that me and Ooh know that's not going to really catch it.
Was definitely an activist. You know, it's hard to really label what he was, because he was so many things wrapped up in one. He was just a force to be reckoned with as far as any cause that he brought forth to the table. Anything that he wanted to do, anything that he pursued, he brought a whole entourage, a charismatic spirit. He brought a force to the whole deal that made it impossible to resist. So whether you call him an activist, an artist, a father, a husband, you know, he was all of these things wrapped up into one great big spirit.
What do you think is Ooh's biggest legacy?
At this point, I think you know, his humanity, his Save a Dope Boy. You know, I was saying earlier, you know, most of the people that know Ooh now never knew him. You know, but that's the beautiful thing. You know, that this brother that was our friend, our brother, you know, father, you know, fiance, his work is continuing beyond his life here. And, you know, he wasn't a guy with any major deal. He was a guy just like us, you know, right here. And I think that inspired regular people more than, you know, I don't know if you want to make up a name, but more than someone else, because we knew him, you could touch him. And you say, look at what he left, the legacy. So, you know, it's been a beautiful thing, you know.